Hey, J-Bone Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
Good morning.
What's up, everybody?
Testifiers. Hey, how you doing, Jay?
I'm great, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm struggle busing like this much, just from general malaise. It was a long day. It was a great music day yesterday, and didn't get to bed until probably about 2. But I don't drink, so it's not like it's hard for me to wake up and I'm like hungover. It's just hard because I'm old and tired. It was a phenomenal day. Welcome everybody. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm gonna probably not be as loud as I typically am because I've got housemates. So when they wake up, then I'll be my normal screaming self.
Speaking of housemates, let me ask you this. I get the impression that Allie works so hard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. She works so hard, when she's working, that when she goes on a vacay, she's like the Hangover, where she is partying balls out, no work. She does not care. She's not answering any texts about where she is going balls out. So, do you have a tiger in your Airbnb there with you, like the the Hangover?
Jay, are you in my brain? That is exactly what it is. I couldn't have put it more concisely if I had written it down on a piece of paper, and I'm quite a wordsmith. Yeah, man, that's exactly it. She
deserves it.
She does. Well, she does. And so we got home from the late night show. Well, it wasn't even a late night show, it was the moderately late show. It was Dumpster Funk, a band that we love, New Orleans, legendary New Orleans band, whose bass player just died, Nick Daniels III. They're all like OG, like funk dudes, and they were doing the 50th anniversary of a band called The Meters, their album Rejuvenation, which happens to be probably my favorite album. It's got so many great songs on it. Just Kiss My Baby. It's like if I played you probably wouldn't know the songs if I said them to you, but you'd know them when you heard them. Like The Meters in terms of hip hop, and The Meters, Rejuvenation, that album came out in 1974. But in terms of hip hop, I think it's probably a top 5 most sampled album, especially back OG, wow. Early days hip hop stuff. The Meters were they're my favorite band. So that went down at 11, and then that went till about 1, and we Ubered back to the place. I'm like, I got to set up the stream. So I set up the stream so that you weren't flailing in the wind, wondering if I was going to be coming on, getting super anxious.
Thank you.
So I got that set up. I fell asleep probably about 2:20, and Allie hit the road, Jack. She went out and met some of our friends out. I think she came back earlier than she came back the night before, though, because the night before she came back at 6, maybe 7 o'clock, whenever she brought me that breakfast burrito. Last night, I think she probably got back around 4 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for her. Let her, she needs some time to unwind. She's working
I'm
so
all
hard.
About it.
By the way, folks, so thanks for being here. If you didn't know, what's happening today is they are finishing the witness that was on the stand yesterday. Then they're doing a jury view, and I have to assume it's gonna be a jury view, then lunch. We don't know. Maybe she'll say today,
right.
And then she said full day, which I think is until 4 Eastern time. So they'll come back. We'll be covering it. I don't think they can go to the jury view because they'll show the jury, and so I don't know if that's a possible thing. So I doubt that's gonna be a thing that's streaming. But we'll
That
be
would be
back.
amazing if they did, but yeah, I agree. I think that's probably a bit beyond the tech capacity of old Bev. I don't think, knowing how resistant she was to just allowing the defense to have their own AV guy, like I can't see that they've worked out, to be able to somehow film this thing. Because it would be one thing if, like she allowed either like Law and Crime or Court TV to go out and bring their people who are used to doing things out. But I think the logistics of it would probably be something that they just aren't capable of doing. So yeah, I agree. I think ultimately we will be radio silent on the visit, on the scene view. But yeah, it would be like, I think the only thing, do you remember, did you watch OJ?
No.
Oh yeah, I think we've talked about this. I'm gonna go, like, I'm 95% certain that they actually televised the scene view.
Wow.
Well, they went to his house when they brought the jury. Like, I think that they had it. I don't know. I think they did. I really do. And then when I was watching that documentary that I was telling everybody to watch, whatever it was last week when we were doing Chad, they were talking about how, like, the defense had staged, like, they took all his pictures.
Yeah, Shannon has talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like he didn't have enough pictures of black people in his house, so they like dug for all the pictures that he had that had like more black people on there, because the makeup of the jury was primarily black, or at least I think there were like eight black, like 4 white, something like that, and then I don't know what the makeup was. So like in the defense's mind, they wanted to like make OJ seem more black. So, and Marsha Clark, the prosecutor, was super pissed. Like she's like she made some comment on that thing. She's like, I can't remember what it was, but it was funny, and it was really.
Here's my question. You talk about logistically, like what I'm wondering is, we know how this case is, and we know how like they had to have a buffer zone. I wonder like if the cops have that block, they must that like cut off, like when I went to Rex Sherman's house, like they must have, because if people know about this, you don't think they're like there, the people that are like live streaming. Like I wonder how they have it set up so like only the court personnel and and the jury can be close. I wonder what it's like in that neighborhood right now.
Yeah, I bet you're exactly right. I bet you that they have to have it cut off, because like the crazies out there will get over there, get in there, Bev will be breathing heavily in a very Darth Vader style, telling, using her, like, whatever that thing that Vader used to use, where he could just put his fingers together, some version of the Force where he could choke people out. Yeah, I would imagine they'll have that cordoned off so that people can't just get back in there, because they're not going in the house. I mean, in theory, Jay, it should be a very short visit. Like, I think the logistics of getting everybody transported over there, and what's presumably a pretty small town, so it's like, get the jurors and whatever they're transporting them over there with, and then they're like, in how she's going to set it up in terms of like, I don't know if the attorneys are going to be able to speak.
That's what I was wondering. Like, can they say, this is our theory where his body, like, can they say anything, or is it just like, here's the lawn? That's what, get. I mean, it's better than those pictures, at least, although the snow, the whole thing. So I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they're just going to go over there. They're going to look at the yard, and like, I don't know if like Lally will be able to say, okay, well, according to our witnesses, this is where the body was located, and obviously the photographs. I mean, they may allow them to do that. I mean, they should, because that's kind of the entire point. You need to really be able to roughly see. But if you're the defense, maybe you're objecting that that's not exactly where the body is. Like, how do we know exactly where he was? Let's see. Pruitt said Vinnie Palatine said he swung by and was told by a neighbor to F off. His grandma and grandpa are living there with the kids. Whew. Yeah, but they like the Albert sold the house. So I don't know if he sold it to family or if he sold it to strangers, but like they don't that's one of the things that was always like a head scratcher for me. Got rid of the dog, Chloe, and sold the house right after the event. I'm like, can you do any more shit that makes it seem like you did something wrong? You know, it's like just like do everything humanly possible to make it seem like you've committed a crime, but you didn't actually commit a crime. Like that's where your head has to be. Like just a cherished dog. Like, could you imagine getting rid of Prudence and Penny and just
never
saying,
in a million years,
right? Never. Like the guy, my guy. Like I miss my guy. That's the hardest thing about being away, aside from the kids, obviously, is the dog, man. So, and like we're really weird about. We really don't like to board the guy. Like we boarded him only one time because we didn't have any other options. And it was like for a week though. So we go to the play. We went to like a, one of those fancy, nice, hotel for dog boarding spots. And they had like a camera so that we could like watch him. And he had his own little room. It wasn't like cages or anything like that. And when we came to get him, dude was pissed. Like typically when I walk in the door, like everybody's dogs, he couldn't be happier to see me. He's jumping up and I'm giving the big hugs and it's just such a happy occasion. So I went like in Scarlett, it was me and Scarlett went to go grab him. The dude was just like, pay no mind list. They like brought him out, walked right by me. I'm like, oh my God. And then we brought him home. Like it went on for like 2 days. Just giving me the cold shoulder. And I'm like wouldn't come sleep up where he always sleeps. Like he sleeps. We have a chaise in our bedroom, which is really his bed. He takes over whatever he wants,
You know what's good for that now, which is what I mean. The last time me and Shannon went without, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. But Rover has an option where you can either put your dog in at a house, someone's house, and they just watch them, like, or they can come to your house. Now, my dogs are in the cradle, when we're not around, which is not often because even, we got them during like COVID basically. So like they are never like alone. So we're worrying about July for the podcast festival. So we might do that maybe with my parents, but it's like a lot for my parents to have the two of them. So like, I think we might do that. It's kind of cool. We did it with Penny when we just had Penny, and she loved it. Like it was just like this couple that lived like like a few miles away, just lived with them, and like they just in the app they send you pictures during the day what's going on. So I think we might do that, but yeah, I get it, man.
Dude, it was the same for us. Like we had gotten Nanook that holiday season, like right around, like I think it was like actually we gave Nanook to the kids like on the first day of Hanukkah, which in that year, which was I want to say it was 2018 going into 2019. So right before the pandemic, like two months before they shut everything down. So it was the same thing. Like Nanook had never not been with us like every second of every day. Yeah. So and we went out to Arizona and rented Airbnbs. This dude was never alone ever, so it was like he obviously became very accustomed to that. And it's pretty rare for us not to like we'll go if like we have a family thing where we're all going, he'll be alone, but he's good for like 4 or 5 hours. I always see you guys were smart. You guys got the pair, so that they have homies. It's good to have company, it's like, whereas he's kind of a bigger dog, and the thought of having 2 bigger dogs, like Brian, my son, and Raven, my daughter-in-law, they have 2 like really big dogs. And it's like the Bumpus Hounds, man, from Christmas Story, the Bumpus. It's like they can.
Well, that's my dream, man. I want, and I've talked about this before. I really want to get a Saint Bernard.
Oh, me too, dude. I love Bernards. They're so like, I mean, who wouldn't want, like, I'd put the little barrel under his neck.
Yes. I said I'll put my favorite beer is summer shandy. Throw a summer shandy in there and just have him come here, come here.
It's time Daddy needs a beer. You saved me. Yeah.
So Babe says, maybe when my oldest Ethan goes away, maybe then we can, because our house, we have a smaller house, so it would be like that. We just don't have enough room to like have 3 dogs. So
yeah, it would definitely be challenging with a dog that size, because even if you get a female, it's over 100, man. I mean, they're big. They're beautiful though. I love them so much.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm keeping an eye.
We left off with who was Katie McLaughlin was on,
Yes.
right? Firefighter. Yep. And she's like, going into the trial, she was probably the witness from the state that I had heard the most, or the Commonwealth that I had heard the most about, with respect to her saying that Karen Reed was saying I hit him. So this is going to be a good one. Like this cross-examination is going to be a good one. I get the feeling that the way that they're kind of divvying it up is, it seems like Jackson is dealing with, they're alternating with the paramedic / firefighters between Yannetti and Jackson. And I have a feeling that we'll be getting Jackson again for her, and I think that one was probably planned out ahead of time. Like, I think that when they were going through and they knew who was going to be the most problematic in terms of witnesses, that they probably said, Jackson's like, yeah, I got this one, Dave. I got it. Let me take this one, big guy.
Yeah, and for folks who don't know, just a little, or if you need a little refresher from the testimony we received to date so far, I forget what was the guy's was it Flamati was like, I told Karen Reed to go talk to Katie because I had to handle. So that's why we're gonna get information about allegedly what she said when, like, Karen Reed when he sent her way, and just like every other witness, we're gonna get on direct what they say, and then we're going to see on cross. And I haven't made my decision. I'm still looking at all the evidence, but I have thought the defense has done just a remarkable job in at least questioning whether, like, for example, like with Flamati or both, it's like, why is it not in the report, Bob? Why is there no indication in the report? And Attorney Jackson brought up, because he's like, you want to give the emergency room staff all the information that they need so they can properly work on this patient and provide the help that they need. So why wouldn't that be in there if you thought that he was hit by? I just thought it was very effective. I know some people don't, but I thought it was really effective.
Super effective. And it's a good point. So combined between the police reports, which none of them said that she said I hit him, and none of the EMT / paramedic reports said it either, So, in the bigger thing that I think that I anticipate will probably be popping up today in terms of the cross-examination is the fact that when McLaughlin was giving the testimony, she says that, again, when Flamati is like, here, I'm trying to deal with some shit. Go try to figure out what happened. And then she starts telling the story about that. And then she says that there's a cop who they tried to see if she could identify which cop it was. But we know that initially that the first 2 cops there were Mulaney and what is it? Saraf. What is it? Saraf?
Right? Saraf. I don't know.
Right. So, and what she said is that she heard whichever one of those 2 it was. The reason we know it wasn't the third one, which was Goody, at least the 3 first original guys that showed up, is because that's what one of the cops said. They said, hey, get Goody down here, which to me means that they're now considering this to be an active crime scene. These guys were probably just like beat cops, and they needed somebody that was going to be able to come down and kind of control the It's a hydrate. Yeah. Do I sound like there was a lot of yelling,
Honestly,
and
I expected you to
screaming.
sound worse. You sound all right. Like
All right,
you're
good.
a little,
Like,
but to be expected. You go to a Stones concert. What do you
dude, it
people
was
expect?
so
What do you
good.
people expect? By the
It was
way,
so
I hope
good.
that the PD, the Canton PD, or whoever these police officers are watching because I assume on Cross we're going to see those videos again. I hope they start buying their windshield wipers from somewhere other than the dollar store. I mean, you can't see it. Like he was trying to, even on Cross, I was like, listen, Jackson, I don't know. Like he's doing a great job, but no, I couldn't tell anything. Barely could hear and couldn't really see. He's like, that yellow thing, is that you? I'm like, I couldn't tell who that. Like they need to get some better wipers or something, or maybe just
For real. Yeah, it was like there's no way. Like in even if with like perfect conditions, I think it's really tough to see from a distance where you're going to be able to make out people's faces from those dashboard cams. You're more seeing figures. Oh, I heard
just
the
heard a
breath.
loud. You heard that loud breath, and now a phone.
Vader has entered the building.
Welcome to Zoom for Government. And
starting Zoom. All right.
Welcome to Zoom for Government.
Let's go.
Hang up the phone, Mom. I'm on AOL.
No, shoot.
Enter your participant ID. Please enter the meeting passcode
hilarious.
followed by pound.
Mom, I'm on the internet. Hang up.
You have joined the
the
meeting
dial-up
as an
going.
attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting. The host.
Mandy asked if we're
You are
in a
unmuted.
shotgun. Yeah, we're in a shotgun style spot. You know, they call them like shotguns because they're long and narrow. So you used to be able to like shoot a shotgun all the way through the building. So yeah, a lot of those in New Orleans. Dude, the Rolling Stones were amazing.
Here's my question. What is their final song when they close it out?
Satisfaction is what they call it.
That makes sense.
Shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now open. You may be seated.
2282CR117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record?
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson from the street.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of the district.
Good morning, Ms. Little.
Good morning, Judge David Unetti for Karen Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Unetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. So I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left here yesterday? Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? Everyone said no or shook their heads. So while you bring your witness in, Mr. Lally, I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for a brief minute. But
Start now with the sidebar. We're nice and early. Did I see CH's birthday? One of our awesome mods. Happy birthday, CH.
Happy birthday, CH. CH is amazing. Not only a mod, but an always giver as well.
Yes.
Which, of course, we are incredibly thankful for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, Stones, fire. It's like you're sitting there watching these just ancient dude. Like I think somebody Google it, but I think Mick's over 80.
Wow.
Like just like let your mind wrap around that. And they came out and played a 2-hour show and sounded like amazing. Like Mick definitely forgets some of the lyrics, you know, but like the backup singers, which they had many, you know, in the band, like just you can't even tell. Like it was so. I had like the biggest shit-eating grin of all time. Like
they've written some of the greatest songs of all time. Dude. Like and just like hundreds, like some of the greatest songs. I just every song is like this is like a banger. Like
that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. You know, you're going from like sympathy to the devil to you can't always get what you want to jumping jack flash to fade away. Dude, it's like it was amazing. And so they put a new album out, and I think they played 2 or 3 new songs. and they were great, man. Like they were like, I think I wasn't optimistic about them producing a new rock and roll album at the age of 80, but it's like the 3 song, like Mick Jagger was just, I don't know. So
do they do any
like,
covers? Do they do any covers? Because I
No.
love when I go see a band sometimes to do like a cool cover. Okay, no covers.
well,
They have so many of their own. I guess they don't have to do that.
yeah, technically, like their first hit was here. I'm gonna pull up the set list because it was so good. I had so much fun. It was just like constant smiling and dancing, you know.
That's
it was
awesome.
like, and we got there early because it was Dumpsta Funk was playing their set right before the Stones. And last time the Stones played New Orleans at the which is the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It used to be the Superdome. Dumpsta had opened for them, you know, so we were kind of anticipating that they would come out with them because they had a bunch of people sit in because there's so many musicians down in New Orleans right now for Jazz Fest that we thought that Dumpsta would come in and sit in on a song, but they didn't, especially because Nick Daniels had died. There's a great story about the lead singer of Dumpsta that I just cannot repeat in reference to something that happened in your home turf at Giant Stadium back in 1989 when the Stones were playing on the Steel Wheel Tour. It's such a good story, but I could never tell it to publics. It's one of those stories. It's a really good one though.
Way to tell that to everyone in the live stream, Bob.
Yeah,
Bob has the most amazing story, folks. About
what a teaser.
We can't tell you. It's about the Rolling Stones. It'll blow your fucking minds, but we're not telling you. Sorry.
Sorry. It's a secret.
Thanks for being here. We got over 650 people already. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like. If you're on Twitter, we love you, but stop into the chat. It's nice. People are very funny and kind. We keep getting comments about our chat, and I don't know about you, my subscribers are going up. I feel like we're bringing in some new people. I hope
100%.
To find the chat. I love the comments, like how funny, smart, kind, and respectful in the chat, and the mods.
We get the best community in the business, dude. There's no doubt about it. It's like I look forward to hanging with our people, you know, and like that family hug thing I do is genuine, you know. It's not just some gimmick shit. That's like, you know, like I look forward to seeing everybody in chat. We always get the usual suspects, and then we absolutely love when we get new people coming in, you know.
Absolutely.
And like if you're lurking, don't be shy. Like I say, the water's fine. Come on in. It's like we're not gonna bite. Yeah, I agree, Charlotte. It's true. Like I can't remember who it was last week. It was like or yesterday who was talking about that this is the funniest chat. I'm sure that's the comment you're talking about.
I mean, it's just like funny line after funny line but at the same time, it's not like, you know, we have someone like doing serious testimony. We could be serious and respectful at the same time, but you know, some things that just come up, it's just so these folks are hilarious. So
yeah, if mom was up, she'd be yelling at us for our snarkiness.
Allie lectures us in the private chat, also texting that we need to be serious during some.
A lot of finger wagging.
Could you raise your right hand one more time? Do you solemnly swear the evidence you give to the court and jury in the case down here?
All right.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you.
Whoa, Persephone, $25 holla. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, Meg, she wanted to give CH another happy birthday shout out.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you.
And thank you, Meg.
Now, I have a few more questions for you. So, turn your attention to the period of time you testified about yesterday when you're at Mr. O'Keefe was in the back of the ambulance. With respect to his clothing, what, if any, observations did you make in regard to that clothing?
He had, in terms of what he was wearing.
First, in terms of what he was wearing.
He was wearing jeans. He had on a dark colored light zip up jacket. And I noticed one sneaker.
Everybody's got
Now,
him wearing something
with regard
different.
to that clothing, what, if any, observations did you make in regard to the condition of that clothing?
It was soaked through.
As far as tears or holes or anything else with regard to that clothing, what, if any, observations did you make of that?
I didn't see any.
Oh,
That doesn't mean it didn't exist. I mean, none of them have talked about the massive contusion on the back of the head. It's so weird.
Number 18.
well, I just mean, if wouldn't you expect if he's
Yes,
got
like
scratches
the-
on his arm, there would be,
Yes.
Yeah, but like maybe she just didn't notice it. You know what I mean? But it would, but like, again, like we've heard, this is the third version of what he was wearing. We've heard the gray sweatshirt, light sweatshirt. I never heard it was a light jacket before. And then we
Now,
have the
first,
heavy
Firefighter
winter
McLaughlin, do
coat.
you recognize what's up on the screen as Exhibit 18?
Do I
You
recognize
recognize what it is?
what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
The address of the call, 34 Fairview Road.
Now, with respect to this photograph, you observed within it or where Mr. O'Keefe was on the ground when you first arrived?
From this angle, no, I don't.
And if you could, if it's not on the photograph, is it off to the left, the right, or where would it be in relation to this photograph?
To the left, I would say.
And about how far off frame do you believe it was?
I'm not sure. So my view of the call was, my reference point wasn't a house on either side. The patient was off the road. So my view of this call was the patient was on the side of the road. The only thing that I noted was a fire hydrant. So in relation to, I know it was to the left of the house, but I'm not sure exactly how far left it would be from this picture, from this angle.
So your memory is to the left of the house near a fire hydrant, is that correct?
Yes.
Take that down. I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
wow. Where's Bob? Get back here, Bob.
Wow.
There you are.
I was creeping around on camera.
Morning.
You responded to the call of an unresponsive male in the snow at 34 Fairview. That was the address you recalled.
Correct.
The house you just looked at, that is in fact 34 Fairview, right?
Correct.
As Mr. O'Keefe was being transported by ambulance, you were instructed by firefighter Flamati to get information about the victim from Karen Reed, correct?
He wasn't being transported by the ambulance at that time. He was on the stretcher. And Tony, who was at the head of the stretcher, asked me to get information from Miss Reed about the patient, but he wasn't being transported in the ambulance at that time.
Who's Tony?
Firefighter Flamati.
Got it. When you did, in fact, did you follow those directives?
I did.
When you finally approached Miss Reed in order to get that medical history as best you could, what did the scene look like? Who was with you or around you?
So they started to move the stretcher towards the ambulance. Miss Reed was sort of, I guess I would describe it as moving around the scene. So she was moving, kind of going in circles. So I was really just focused on her, trying to get her to converse with me and get those questions. So that I wasn't really noticing anything else at that point. I was more just trying to contact her, and she was moving around.
What were you wearing at the time?
I had my like winter fire jacket on.
What color is it?
It's yellow and red.
Bright yellow for safety purposes.
Yes.
When you began your actual questioning, once everybody sort of stood still, you began your questioning of Ms. Reed. You were standing in one spot. Ms. Reed was standing to your right. Is that right?
Well, the questioning started, as I said, she was moving around the scene. So the questioning was ongoing as she was moving around to different locations. I don't know exactly how many of the questions I got out during the time that she was moving around. At one point, we did come to a stop. And at that point, she was to my right.
That's the point I want to focus your attention on, if I could. When you came to a stop, that's the point at which you recall the statement being made that you attribute to my client.
Yes.
Okay. And in that group, who was there? I want to make sure I understand this exactly.
So there was Miss Reed to my right. There was a civilian woman to my left. There was a police officer who was not directly across from me, but I would say maybe diagonal to me, closer to Miss Reed.
Your Honor, I'm holding a photograph. This shows the Commonwealth. May I approach?
Yes.
I'll show you Ms. McLaughlin, a still photograph. I'm going to ask you to take a quick look at that photograph and look up after you've studied it for a second and tell me if you recognize people that are in that photograph.
I recognize people in it.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes. Is this an exhibit, or are you moving to introduce it?
I'm moving to introduce it. It has not been introduced as yet.
Okay. So go ahead and have the witness adopt it.
Sure. Do you see the person closest to frame? Closest to the camera?
Yeah.
Bob, were you talking? I see the chat says you were muted.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I was absolutely having an entire conversation. All right. So real quick, we noticed that she's pretty confident right now, right? She sounds very confident in her answers. She's assertive. She's clear in what she remembers. Remember, Flamati was the same way at the beginning of that cross yesterday, you know? So like, let's see if she holds up any better than Flamati did by the time he starts digging in. So just be aware of that. Remember, kind of like trying to read the body language and the tone and tenor of the witnesses is part of the evaluation of credibility. So let's see how that goes.
Yes.
In what appears to be a yellow and red jacket.
Yes.
Who's that?
That would be me.
Who's to your right?
It appears to be Miss Reed,
And to your left?
a civilian woman,
And across, as you said, sort of diagonal, closer to Miss Reed is?
a police officer.
Do you know that officer's name, by the way?
I don't know his name.
Okay. Your Honor, with that, I would ask that this be marked as next in order.
Okay. Is there any objection?
No objection.
So we are going to remark these exhibits today because of the problems that I indicated at sidebar. How do you want to do this, Madam Reporter? I don't know where we start from.
Remark it on sidebar.
Tori, how many are in evidence? You've heard numbers, to make sure the record is intact. And you've heard numbers 1, 3, 309, 247. We need to straighten this out to make sure it's appropriate for you. You know what, Madam Clerk, just mark, Madam Court Reporter, just mark it as the next exhibit number, whatever in the hundreds that is, and we'll take care of this today. I don't want to waste your time, folks, while we do this, but it's very important that we do it.
Exhibit 381.
All right. All right, so there was any objection to that from the Commonwealth?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McLaughlin, this is the time or the scene that you've told us about when you heard the statement that you've attributed to my client, correct?
Sorry, say that again?
Sure. This is a moment in time, it captures a moment in time when you're standing there. To your right is Karen Reed, which you've described. To your left is a civilian female, which you've described. And across from you is an officer, which you've also described.
Yes.
So this would be the time or close in time to the time that you heard the statement that you attribute to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes.
The first time you ever made that official report, or an official report to law enforcement regarding that statement was January 30th, 2022, correct?
Well, yes and no. The statement was made in front of the police officer, so that would technically be the first time that statement was made to a police officer in my presence. And then, yes, I testified to it on January 30th, as you said.
You said it on January 30th. You weren't testifying under oath, correct?
Okay. Said it.
Okay.
Yes.
My question was really, and I appreciate you clarifying, my question was really the first time you actually told this statement to any law enforcement officer was on January 30th.
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down. That was when you met with Trooper Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, that was very close in time to the event. It was the next day. Is that right?
Yes.
The events were close.
The 29th. Yeah. So it would be the next day.
Right. 29th, 30th.
Yeah.
Okay. The events were fresh in your mind at that time?
Yes.
You obviously knew about the importance of that interview. You knew that it dealt with a police officer who had passed.
I knew it was important to talk to the police about what I heard.
And you
All
wanted
right,
to be
Jay, pause
accurate.
it real quick.
Yes.
You wanted to be as deep.
So when you hear a lawyer on cross-examination start off with these types of questions in any particular portion of a cross-examination, you know that he's setting up for impeachment because he's talking about how important it is. The facts were freshest in your mind at that time. So he's found an inconsistency and he's setting it up, talking about, you know, this is the point in time when your memory's freshest. You understand the importance of everything you were doing and how important it is to make sure you're accurate with what you're reporting. So he's setting something up to knock it down. Let's see what it's going to be.
Detailed as you possibly could.
Yes.
And you understand that memories, obviously, they get a little worse with time, not better with time, right?
Sure.
The closer in time you are to the event, the fresher your memory is going to be about the details of that event. You would agree with that, right?
Sure.
You told Trooper Proctor the day after the event on January 30th that the statement that you attribute to my client was actually made to the female, not to you in response to your questioning. That's what you told Trooper Proctor, correct?
I don't have those notes in front of me, so I don't know that I can tell you that that's correct, but the statement was made in response to my question. However, the Miss Reed was looking at the civilian woman as she said that.
Does it refresh your recollection that what
Don't read what you think refreshes a recollection. You can show or you cannot read it. Yes.
take a look at the highlighted portions of that report and look up when you're finished.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Sure.
You're on
Yes.
camera. Does that refresh your recollection about what you told Trooper Proctor on January 30th?
Yes.
And you told Trooper Proctor,
No,
quote,
let her,
in terms of-
hold on. I'll see you, Ted.
Sidebar. You know, Bob, this reminds me, I'm just gonna say it real quick. It reminds me of when I worked in insurance at Geico and we had a system and it was called A-Log, and they always trained us, and I assume they do this training with people who have reports like this. If it's not an A log, it didn't happen. Like,
Right.
I'm sure they stress the importance. If people are going to be looking at these reports, if you don't put it in here, either it didn't happen or it's going to not look great for you if you're, testifying. So anyway,
Well, 100%. And it's like one of the kind of the most fertile areas in terms of cross of a cop is they know the only reason they're preparing a report is for court, which means they know that the prosecutor is going to need it. And they know that the defense attorney is going to be needing it as well. And they're both going to be parsing it very, very carefully. So to leave out pertinent facts is a big deal. And yes, they've definitely all been trained to write reports because of how litigious we are
Right.
as a society.
And obviously, as he's pointing out, this is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal to say, if you're going to, like, this affects the treatment, this affects this case. So, all right, I'll continue.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
In fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was, quote, Karen then turned to her friend and stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. In quote. Correct?
Okay.
Is that yes?
Yes, if you're saying that's in quotation marks in that, then yes.
That's what's in the report.
Okay.
And you don't have to agree with me. I'm asking yes or no questions. Not okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So in fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was that Karen Reed looked at the female to your left and said 4 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Correct?
Yes.
And have you since learned that the name or identity of the female that was standing to your left?
No.
You're aware that the female that was standing to your left reported the exact same statement?
No.
Are you aware that the female standing to your left reported that exact same statement as, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Did I hit him?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You then went back to the ambulance after you heard that statement that you believed you heard my client state.
Yes.
You opened the ambulance door, correct?
Yes.
That was the back door?
The side door.
The side door. And there were two firefighter paramedics in that ambulance at the time, correct?
I believe there were more than 2 at that time.
2 of them included firefighter Nuttall and firefighter Flamant.
Yes.
And at that point, you told them what you believed you had just heard.
So I went into the back of the ambulance. I said, this is his name. This is his date of birth. She says he doesn't have any medical history or allergies, doesn't take daily medications. And then I said, she's saying I hit him. And firefighter Nuttall motioned to his face and said something.
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask another question.
So the answer to my question is yes, you told in front of Flamati and Nuttall the phrase, I hit him.
Yes.
You didn't write that in any report?
I don't write a report in this scenario of my job.
Let her finish the answer, please.
So there are 2 people that will write reports in my department on a call, one being the lead paramedic and the other being the officer who's on scene. So those are the people that write reports, and I was neither of those, so I did not write that in a report.
Okay.
That's correct.
So let me ask the question again. You didn't write it in any report?
No.
You didn't write it in any notes?
No.
You didn't document that statement in any way whatsoever, correct?
Other than my interview with Proctor and my subsequent testimony.
You didn't document that statement in any way yourself, did you?
No.
Since January 30th, in that conversation that we just talked about with Trooper Proctor, your statement has evolved. Is that right?
The evolving.
I don't know how to answer that.
You testified yesterday to something quite different
Not quite different.
than what you testified, I'm sorry, than what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
I'm just going to say
Can
this
you
right now.
spicy?
This is the most This is the most feisty person we've had to date. Like the last witnesses were kind of like you said, they kind of like lowered their tone.
Crumbled.
Yeah, like she is going right back at him.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I think my testimony has been pretty consistent.
That was not respectfully, but I just respectfully fuck you.
Respectfully shut it up. Yeah.
Quite different in context than what you told Trooper Proctor. Isn't that right?
I don't know that that's right.
Well, you told Trooper Proctor, Karen Reed looked at a female standing to your left, said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Right?
Yes.
Yesterday, you told these jurors that Karen Reed said, I hit him, and an officer said, you what? And she repeated, I hit him, and the officer immediately turned and went to find another sergeant. Is that right or no? Yes or no?
No, there was more to that testimony.
That's not what you said yesterday?
I think I said more than that, than what you just repeated.
Is what I said consistent with what you said yesterday? There's a lot of things that you said more of. I'm asking, is that the sum and substance of what you told these jurors yesterday?
Yes.
So you would agree that from that time till yesterday, your story has evolved. It's changed.
Would I agree with that?
No.
I don't know that I agree with that.
You think the story that you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same?
I understand what you're saying. So I understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
He's so good.
He's so good.
McLaughlin, who's Caitlin Albert?
Oh, shit.
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
Oof.
Somebody named Caitlin Albert.
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
So do you know Caitlin Albert?
I do.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert?
I would say more acquaintances, not close friends.
How do you describe an acquaintance?
I would say that we have mutual friends, so we might see each other occasionally because of mutual friends, but we don't have a one-on-one friendship or hang out regularly.
Who's her dad?
I don't know.
Objections. Do you know who her family is?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach her?
Yes.
Holy shit. I wish Jack was in here right now to analyze that part when he's like, do you know her? And she goes, she's someone I knew from high school, whatever that wording was. I mean, that was like very clearly just trying to be evasive. Like, just admit it, like, you're going to get like.
Well, she's very defensive. Like, she's very, very defensive. And I'm curious, I want to see in the chat how that plays off to you guys in terms of credibility when somebody gets that defensive, right? Like when you're kind of fighting, giving an answer that hard, it makes it seem like the lawyer's correct, right?
Yeah. Like, why? First you say, oh, it's a name I know from high school, whatever. And then you're like, but we've hung out with acquaintances sometimes. Like, come on. Just, these are the witnesses that bother us when they're very clearly, like, just admit, like the guy yesterday who just admitted, like, he did, the preschooler, like, he was just on it. He like, it's clear. I'm sorry. I don't care what side.
I mean, what they can do with her is they can, if Bev is going to shut them down.
Oh, what's happening?
They're dismissing the jury. Maybe.
I think so. I bet her mic is off because why are they standing?
Right. It's got to be the jury's leaving. So they're going to have this one out. So I'm anticipating like this argument is relating to the fact that she being Bev, the judge, is, has a certain, her ruling was not abundantly clear in terms of how they're going to get their third party culprits in. Obviously, the Albert family is among them in terms of third party culprits. So if she shuts them down here, I mean, the defense has the opportunity to recall her in their case in chief in order to be
For a
able
few
to
minutes.
get it
All
out.
right.
So let's go. This is going to be interesting.
All right. Ms. McLaughlin, I'm going to let you step out for a few minutes. Show them what you have and let a court officer know when you're ready for me to come back out.
All rise for the court, please.
Well, we're not going to tell us what we're doing here. Wow, Bob. I mean, wow.
Wait, they're shutting down this
I guess. I mean, but it looked like she walked off. Like, I don't even know if she.
Show them what you have and let a court officer know when you're ready for me to come back out.
All rise for the court, please.
Oh, so they're like, looks like Lally and Jax are like looking at something together that maybe
okay. So
they have to
what
present
it
to the judge.
is, there's social media posts with Caitlin and Katie. I know that's what it is. It's got to be that. And Lally must be saying that he didn't get that he hasn't gotten these photographs from socials. So he's about to dig into this acquaintance like relationship. Do you typically hug cheek to cheek with acquaintances? Is that something that you do, Miss McLaughlin?
Yeah, with someone you know from a name from high school. Like,
right.
Come on.
Like, I don't know why she decided to take that position. She has to know that these guys have done their homework. She has to know what existed out in the world in terms of social media. We're all on blast. If you post shit on your socials, it's out there and it's never going away. Doesn't matter if you've deleted it. Somebody has screen grabbed it. Somebody has screenshotted it. It's like, it never goes away. Whatever's out in the internet is for all times. That's why they have entire companies that, rebuild your reputation.
Which is why, like, she's had to testify for how long? She knows those pictures are out there. She just admitted it. Looks.
That's what I'm saying.
Now they got to stop court. Like, what does the jury right think? They're like, wait, why did he bring up that name? And now why are they even if nothing comes in, they're gonna think like, why did that just happen? Why did that name come up? And that name's gonna come up again, and it's gonna come up again, and they're gonna be like, why is this happening? Like, even if she's like, no, nothing comes in, I still think that's like a big deal for the jury.
Man, dude, like, shoo. Because now, like, so it was a minor victory for Jackson with the evolving statement, but it was a victory nonetheless because it changes, because like it didn't really change the wording of what was said. She just added more context to it yesterday on direct. Yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Like, this thing's going to take us right up to the scene view, and then so it'll be a tasty appetizer for the jury leading into the main meal.
And guys, this is day 4 of a 6 to 8 week trial. It's why me and Bob have just been saying ad nauseum, there's a lot of stuff out there, but you have to wait to see the witnesses. Like, you have to wait to see everything. This doesn't mean that Karen Reed is innocent. That doesn't mean that she's guilty. This is just the defense poking holes, as they've been doing this entire time, in the statements from the state's witnesses. I mean,
it's so funny, Manny. Have you seen this, The Iron Claw?
No.
Movie? Steve's probably seen it. It's about the Von Erich family.
I'm familiar. Yeah, I know of it. I'm just yeah.
So, dude, man, I was talking about this yesterday when we were leaving the Stones concert, and I'm like, I forget what made me think of it. I'm like, man, you know what was a good movie? Because I watched the end of it. I watched the first hour and 40 minutes on the last flight I was on, because I was watching it on the United app or whatever, and we landed. So I didn't get to see the last 20 minutes. So on this flight, I watched the last 20 minutes of it, and oh my God. Like, and it's a true story. And that dude's like brother, like he had 4 brothers and all of them died. It was like,
Wow.
It was like a really sad movie, man. It was really, really well done, man.
Well, thanks for playing for me, Bob.
Huh?
You just said that. Is that part of the movie? Is that part of the plot?
What? That all the oh yeah, that all the I thought that yeah.
And sorry to
I
everyone,
mean-
anyone in chat who hasn't seen it yet, but Bob just
Listen, man. Listen, this is really that's some shit you can Google. It's not like I just ruined the plot of like Game of Thrones or like some shit that like you don't know how it's gonna end. Yeah, I honestly I did not know. I started to get the
so you
feeling.
didn't. Bob, people
Sorry,
are asking.
sorry.
Mandy Elizabeth L says a recap of what's happening now and why the Alberts are important. People are asking.
All right. So bottom line is there's 2 theories in this case. Okay, Elizabeth, and the state's theory or the Commonwealth's theory is that Karen Reed, after dropping her boyfriend John O'Keefe off after they'd been out to a bar with a group of people who were then going over to some of those people's houses. One of the couples that was there, their house, they're going to have a little after party. Karen decided she wasn't going to go in. John decided he was going to go in. He gets out of the car. The state's theory is that she then threw the car into reverse and plowed over John O'Keefe, hitting him, and then left him there to die. The defense's theory, which has not come out yet, is that, and the state's theory is he never went into the house, never made it into that house. And the defense's theory is that he did make it into the house and that something happened in that house and that John O'Keefe took a beating and either was killed in the house or was just knocked out unconscious and then dragged outside thinking that he would wake up and wander off, but then died from his injuries and hypothermia. So the house is owned by one of the Albert brothers. So Caitlin Albert is the daughter of one of the Alberts, which I'm assuming we'll be able to establish as he continues on the direct. He just asked her if she knew, which to me is ridiculous. Like even if she didn't know which Albert was Caitlin's father prior to trial, she definitely knows it now. Like it was a disingenuous answer. We cannot pretend that she hasn't been following this case online like the rest of us have for the last, especially the last year. So yeah, it's going to be, so hopefully that was enough of a primer. That's why the Alberts are, so the Alberts are and others are third-party culprits in this case for the defense. The judge had ruled in her motion in limine that she was going to allow for some third-party culprit defense to come in, but that they have to develop it and show that there's a nexus.
Which is what they're doing now, right? I mean, that's the whole, what they're doing. Like, it's starting to do.
Yes. Exactly.
And they couldn't say it in the openings. They weren't allowed to mention it in the openings, but they were allowed. And this is what she said. Right. So I guess, like you said, Bob, it's just a question of, Down Jackson's like, listen, I gave you guys this stuff. And I was like, no, you didn't. And then she's going to have to make a ruling if.
Right. And I mean, it's going to be photographs, and it's going to be, I'm anticipating it's going to be the social media stuff. So, and Lally, I mean, is he going to pull that shit too? Like, he doesn't know that exists either. Come on, dude. It's like, if he didn't know that this stuff existed online, then he wasn't doing his job. Like, I mean, for us, social media, like in terms of going into, like, it's constantly used in courts of law. It's used in family cases, family law cases, divorce cases, custody battles, especially. People are using people's socials left to right. Oh, here he is, shit-faced again. Like, oh, look, here he is. He's out 4 times a week, out getting hammered it's like they use it all the time. Like, so if Lally slept on the fact that Katie had been posting photographs of her and Caitlin Albert, yeah, I don't know, man.
No way. He knows about
no
this
way,
shit.
dude.
Come on.
No way. There's no way. And it's been interesting, like on my Twitter, and I've got a chat group on our Insiders Facebook group, which, by the way, if y'all are not members over there, it's pretty good. We've got some pretty good chats where it's a good place to chat after the fact, like after you watch, because we got a ton of people, obviously, from my subs from YouTube that are over there, and that's our Defense Diaries Facebook group. But in that group, that page, there's the group for the insiders, which I think we have like 40 chats, which sometimes get Kasha's in here, who is my hero, who I just dumped her in there. It's the mod. And that chat is not nearly as sweet. It can get pretty heated in there where people are getting shut down. I have to give the reminder, everybody be kind. We can the thing that I'm always saying. So, but it's a great place, and there's like a lot of really bright people in there that debate. They debate the facts, and in there you get a real split on this case. So it's interesting, and it's been interesting for me to read it. Like that's where I'll lurk. Like I typically don't get too engaged in there because I like to let the people have their space without me interjecting and theoretically. Causing people to change their minds. I'm not in there trying to advocate one way or another. I like for people to have a space where they can hash it out if they can. But seeing both sides of it has been very interesting in terms of how they're perceiving these witnesses and how the case is going. It's interesting.
All right, so Mr. Jackson,
Here we
let's
go.
mark for identification the items that you told us about at sidebar.
Mock it.
First in order would be do you want me to describe them for the record, Your Honor?
No,
No, fuck the record.
so they're not to be put up on the screen.
These are 4 items. One of them.
So don't describe them. I need to see them. So let's bring them up, mark them for identification, Madam Clerk. Then you'll get them back. But I need these marked for identification, and I need to see them. Thank you. So we'll
Mark them first.
mark them first.
Sheila, because the judge gave a directive that not only can they not have speaking objections, but they can't. She doesn't want them to give the basis for it. Allison gave a very good analysis of how problematic that is for either side. Like not even talking about the appellate court aspect of it, which is a huge issue because. Like if a lawyer whiffs on an objection and it's their fault, the appellate court, it's waived. That issue is waived. If the judge has given a directive and said, I'm not going to allow you to give the basis of your objection, then the appellate court can apply any potential objection to what they feel may have applied to that. So it's like it gives way too much range for the appellate court to be able to say, okay, well, this seems like it would have been a hearsay objection, and we find that hearsay objection would have been proper. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
the other
we
part
have
is it doesn't allow for either side that's conducting the cross or who has been objected to understand how to tailor their question, because we hear it all the time, like where somebody will object and then you'll hear a slight modification of the question and follow up. And that was only happened because the defense attorney knew what the basis of the objection is. We hear it all the time with lack of foundation, especially with your buddy Pryor, like that's his favorite objection. Foundation, meaning that.
Can I get some foundation here?
Right. He's like, oh, I've given her a lot of leeway, but no, I need some foundation. I know. Let's talk about lapidity. So it's like, that's your answer. The judge said no. Like you can't give a basis, which I think is insane. Like it's insane. All right, let's go.
Marked 4 pieces of paper marked for identification that appear. You got these off of social media sites, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct.
Okay. When did you get these?
I couldn't tell you the exact date, but we probably had them for between 6 months and a year.
All right. And Commonwealth, you've not seen these before?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So we'll talk about Rule 14 in a little bit, but We'll bring the witness in. You can ask her questions, Mr. Jackson, about her vacation that you mentioned, the drinking that you talked about, the relationship with Ms. Albert. I've forgotten the first name already. And Caitlin, and about the house. So you can ask her questions about that. And let's see, you can show her these exhibits or these marked for identification if you need to. You may have trouble actually getting those into evidence, but I'm going to let you find out. You can ask her to identify them, how long ago they were, things like that.
Thank you.
All right, could we bring in Ms. McLaughlin, please? Yes. And Commonwealth, you just saw these today. I'm sorry, I don't remember if I asked you that.
Yes, and yes.
Oh,
And you were
come on.
You objected at sidebar that these come in at all?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, here's the fourth one, I'm sorry. Mr. Jackson, here's the last one. Ask you questions outside the presence of the jury, and you're still under oath, and you have to answer them truthfully, okay?
Okay.
It seems like she's protecting the witness, doesn't it?
A little bit.
McLaughlin, when, just briefly as a predicate, when you stepped out, I just want to make sure we're very clear. Did you have a conversation with anybody from the Commonwealth between the time you walked out of court and just now?
Just about if I needed a drink of water or to use the restroom.
Okay, but nothing about the substance of your testimony?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin, I asked you before we broke if you know who Caitlin Albert is.
Yes.
You said that you went to high school with somebody by that name, correct?
Yes.
You in fact know that person as a friend, correct?
I know her.
She's more than an acquaintance.
I would say she's an acquaintance. She's not a close friend.
Is she in a group of friends of yours?
We have mutual friends.
How long have you known her?
Probably since high school.
When you say, and I don't want to ask your age, I wouldn't do that. How many years, how long of a span of years have you known her?
Since high school, so maybe 10.
And you know her family, generally?
I don't.
You don't know anything about her family?
I don't know her family.
Had you ever been to her house?
Not that I recall ever being there.
Not that you recall, or you haven't? There's two different things.
I don't recall ever being there.
Okay, so you might have been there, you just don't recall.
I don't recall ever being there.
Okay. If I were to ask you if you have ever been to her house, yes or no, you cannot answer that because you don't know. You cannot recall, correct?
I would say, I would lean towards no. I have no recollection of ever being at her house.
Are you friends with her on social media?
Yes.
May I approach you on her?
Yes.
I'm just going to leave all four of these up here. I know what they look like. Can you do me a favor and take a look at the first document? What does that document appear to be?
It says Caitlin's friends.
What does it look like? That's a printout of.
I'm sorry?
What does that look like? It's a printout of. Does that look like it's from Facebook or one of the social media apps?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Some social media.
Okay. Under Caitlin's friends, do you see your handle, for lack of a better phrase?
I do.
Okay. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. Can you look at the next photograph? Before we talk about that next photograph, which is, I should go in order for the record, Your Honor. The first one was H.
Is this you on a camel? That's from Gwyneth Paltrow.
Before we talk about
We'd have to
I,
take the
this
Terry
is the next
clip.
photograph. How long have you been social media friends, quote, friends with Caitlin Albert?
I don't know.
More than 5 years?
Probably.
More than 8 years?
I don't know.
The second photograph, or the second document appears to be a photograph. It's I, is that right?
Yes.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
You see Caitlin in that photograph?
I do.
When was that photograph taken?
I have no idea.
Where was that photograph taken?
I don't know.
You have no idea how long ago that was?
I don't.
What was the event that was depicted, or that is depicted in that photograph?
I don't know.
Is that local or was that on a trip somewhere?
I don't know. Probably local. If it's a beach, I don't remember. I've never been away like to a beach on vacation with all of these people, so probably local.
When we say local, let's talk about local. I don't mean, we may have different definitions. Where would that be? What beach? I'm not as familiar with the location.
I'm not sure.
Maybe on the Cape?
Possibly.
Do you recognize some of the other folks in that photograph?
I do.
Matter of fact, there's a lot of people in that photograph, right?
There's a lot of people in it.
Did you take a trip with all those people at some point in the past?
Take a trip
to the beach.
Did I go to the beach at some point with these people? Yes.
Okay. When did you go to the beach with all those folks?
I don't know. I don't know when this picture is from.
Have you
It
gone?
seems old to me, but
Have you? Well, you can see yourself. I mean,
yeah.
What was that? Did you say it seems old to you?
Yeah, to me.
Okay.
This isn't like a recent to me.
how old do you think that photograph is?
I don't know. It could be around high school. I'm not sure.
And I know Mr. Jackson didn't want to ask you how old you are. When did you get out of high school?
2014. I
Okay.
graduated.
So could that have been around 2014?
It could be.
So you've known Caitlin for at least that long.
Yeah.
And when I say travel, I mean travel outside of Canton, gone places with her, correct?
Yes.
Posed for photographs with her,
Yes.
with other folks.
Yes.
It's like socializing and partying, correct?
Looks like socializing.
Maybe a small vacation.
I've never been on vacation with a big group of people like this.
Well, that doesn't look like what would you call that if that's not like a mini vacation?
A day at the beach?
A day at the beach, okay. So maybe a day vacation.
Sure.
Dave.
Let's look at the next photograph.
Vacation.
Jay.
Vacation.
Not me, Jay.
Macro
The
Turner.
exhibits,
Yes.
Jay.
I do need to remind myself. That photograph looks a little older, correct?
They both look old to me. I don't know when they're from.
I'm going to ask you the same questions about that. These aren't trick questions. I don't want to waste your time. What's that from?
I don't remember specifically what or where this is.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
You see Caitlin in the photograph?
I do.
You're all posing for the camera, correct?
Yes.
What's the location?
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't.
This is yet another socializing event with Caitlin that you can't recall.
I don't know where this is
that-
exactly.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your words. Go ahead.
I don't know where this is exactly.
So you've had so many socializing events with Caitlin and other folks that you can't pinpoint this one as opposed to any of the others that you've had.
No, I'm saying I can't. These photos are old. I don't know. I don't remember where these were or the circumstances around them. That's what I'm saying.
You see how you're dressed in that photo?
Yes.
You see how you see the other friends that are there with you?
Yeah.
How many people would you estimate are in that photo?
Do you want me to count how many people?
Give me it. I don't have the photo in front of me, so just give me it. Is it more than 5?
12.
12 people.
Ish.
Do you recognize those dozen people?
I do.
Did you go on a day trip with those dozen people?
Yeah, possibly.
When?
I don't know.
Where?
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't remember.
How many times have you gone on day trips with those dozen people?
I don't know.
How about turning back to photograph I? How many times have you gone on day trips and socialized with those number of people? So it's like probably double that, 20 or 25 people.
I don't know.
That's a big group of friends of yours that includes Caitlin Albert, right?
A big group of mutual friends.
So it's not just that she's a mutual friend, she's a friend. Isn't that right?
As I said before, I would consider myself more of an acquaintance. We have mutual friends. I wouldn't consider her a close friend, but yeah, I mean, that would be my answer.
You basically grew up with her, went to high school with her.
I didn't grow up with her. I went to high school with her.
When I say grow up with her, I mean you grew up in the same town as her, right?
Grew up in the same town.
Went to the same high school as she did.
Yes.
Socialized with the same friends as she did.
Yes.
Went on day trips with her.
Yes.
And apparently have all the same friend group. Right?
I don't know that we have all the same friend group. These are people that we're both friends with.
But you don't consider her anything more than just an acquaintance.
I think I described it to you.
The answer to my question is you don't consider her to be anything more than an acquaintance.
I wouldn't consider her to be a close friend.
Now let's take a look at the last photograph.
That's not what he said. It's a friend. He didn't say a close.
So
man.
So evasive.
Man.
Describe what's in that photograph.
It's a picture of me. Caitlin is in it, and there's seems to be other people in it as well.
May I approach?
Yes.
See, no, she gets prepped by Lally coming into this, but prepping a witness ahead of time
Want to drop it on you?
and actually
That's
getting
a close-up
grilled
photograph.
on the stand are two very different things. You know, because Lally was like, if you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't try to guess. You know, say I'm not aware. You know, just like do not guess on any answers. The end result of that is that she looks evasive. Like there's no two ways about it. I don't care what side of this case you're on. If you're watching this and you don't think that this witness is being evasive, then you're not being honest with yourself. Now, the other thing is, and this goes back to kind of all the way back to the motions in limine. Now, the jury at this point, because third-party culprits were not brought up at all, have no idea. And it goes back to the question that we posted about why do we care about the Albert family? Like, who are they? So in terms of the impact on the jury, we have to think about the fact that they have no clue who the Alberts are. They have no clue at all about what their part is in this case. So how effective this is in establishing this relationship isn't really impactful to the jury right now, but they're setting it up for down the road, because now
the jury is not there, folks. Right, Bob? The jury is not there right now. They didn't bring them back.
The jury, are they doing? Is this the proffer still?
I thought this is the proffer. I could be wrong. I'm fairly certain.
No, I think the jury has to be in here, right?
Are you sure? I thought they didn't bring the jury back.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they did not bring the jury back, but I guess we'll see.
That would be crazy. The jury's got to be in there.
We got conflicting statements in the chat, so let's see. I'm pretty sure they're not, but we'll see.
I mean, they would have had the thing where they all stand. So, and I don't remember seeing that.
No, either. I don't think they did. They just came back in, and I'm fairly certain they're not there. Yeah, outside I'm fairly certain they're not there, guys. This is like a proffer.
If this is the offer of proof, it's pretty intense, and it's giving her theoretically 2 bites at the apple, meaning she can change her demeanor by the time the jury comes back in, if the judge is going to allow these questions to go forward. I'm guessing the jury's in there. Like this feels very much like she's under oath and she's testifying in front of a jury, as opposed to but maybe not. Maybe this is, like you said, maybe this is just the offer of proof. Let's see what's up.
Of who?
Caitlin, and I'm also in it.
And you're doing what in the photograph as it relates to Caitlin?
It seems like I'm kind of kneeling down next to her.
Touching her?
Can I see that for just a minute, please? Thank you. I'm sorry, can you show me you? Okay. Thank you.
So just for the record, may I approach one more time?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's look at that one more time. You're sort of just behind Caitlin in that photograph?
Yes.
Caitlin's the one drinking the beer?
Yes.
You got your right arm around her?
Yes.
Both appear to be wearing swimwear,
Yes.
bathing suits,
Yes.
and you're giving some sort of sign with your left hand?
No, I'm not.
Is that somebody else's hand that I saw? Maybe that's Caitlin's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have the photograph in front of me. I don't have it committed to memory. Looks like that's a photograph that you and Caitlin posed for together, correct?
It seems like it's a close-up of a bigger, like a picture. It seems to be zoomed in on a group of people.
Which was posted on social media,
Okay.
is that right?
Are you telling me that?
I'm asking you that. You ever seen that posted on social media?
I don't recall seeing this picture, but if it was on social media, then okay.
How long ago was that picture taken?
I don't know.
Who took the picture?
I don't know.
Where were you when the photograph was taken?
Probably at a beach if we're wearing bathing suits.
Probably at a beach or at a beach?
Well, I can't see a beach in the picture. We're in bathing suits. It could be at a beach.
Right. Do you recognize the bathing suit that you're wearing in the photograph?
No.
You literally don't even recognize your own outfit?
No.
So that doesn't help define where you were and when that photograph was taken?
No, sir.
Do any of these?
Just pausing this real quick. I just checked a journalist. Judge Cannoni has decided Jackson can ask McLaughlin about her relationship with Caitlin Albert. He has some social media evidence. This is happening outside the presence of the jury. So I want a personal apology from everyone who told me differently.
These photographs remind you that you've been to Caitlin's house at some point in your friendship with her.
No.
Has Caitlin ever been to your house?
Not to my recollection.
When was the last time you talked to Caitlin?
I don't remember exactly. It's probably been a few years.
When was the last time you went to an event, socializing event with Caitlin?
Again, I don't remember exactly.
Did you talk to Caitlin at any point at or around January 29th, 2022?
No.
When was the last time you had talked to Caitlin before January 29th, 2022?
I don't know.
Would it have been a day before, a week before, a month before?
No, I don't talk to her. Like I said, we're not like close friends, so it's like pretty infrequent that we would interact. So I don't know when the last time before that.
What about texting or Snapchatting or communicating in that way?
I don't remember.
Would it have been a week before the 29th?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you know so?
I don't think so.
What about after the 29th, after you responded to 34 Fairview? You ever have any communication with her?
Not that I can recall.
So is that something that you think you might remember if you responded to a house of her father where there's a police officer dead or dying on the yard, on the lawn, 30 feet from the front door? You might have had a conversation with Caitlin?
I've never had a conversation with Caitlin about that call or this case.
Did you ever
Who believes
contact
that?
any of your other friends about the fact that you responded to Caitlin's parents' house?
No.
Were you ever asked about this relationship that you had with Caitlin Albert, this friendship that you had with Caitlin Albert at or near the time of the 29th of January?
No.
Did you ever disclose to anybody that you had a relationship with Caitlin Albert at or around the time of this event?
No.
When you went to 34 Fairview, you knew that that was the Albert family home, correct?
No.
When did you learn that it was the Albert? You now know that.
I know that now.
When did you find that out?
I don't know. I don't recall. It was
Your
some
meeting with
point
Proctor?
after. It was, but I don't know when.
Would it have been the next day?
No.
You and firefighter Flamati and firefighter Nuttall were all discussing this case pretty intently after this event, correct?
No.
Wow.
It's not that often in the little town of Canton that a police officer is found dead or dying on another police officer's lawn. Wouldn't you agree with that?
We responded to a medical call. So the conversation after the fact was at the hospital, debriefing the call, going over what happened, what we use for equipment, what we need, and just like that was the extent of the conversation.
Would you agree that this case, given its notoriety, is discussed at the fire station almost daily?
I don't know when I'm not there, but it does get brought up.
And obviously the fact that the house belongs to, or belonged at the time, to the Albert family is part of that discussion.
I don't know. Like I said, it gets brought up, but I just avoid it. I don't engage in the conversations.
It was certainly enough of a subject matter that you learned, according to you, after the 29th, that house belonged to Brian Albert, Cole Albert, parents of your friend Caitlin Albert, right?
Well, at that point, it was on the news consistently, so I don't know where that information was introduced, but
it was pretty early on after the 29th.
I don't recall when it was known that that was the case.
I mean, you didn't learn that that was the Albert family home last week.
No.
You've known it for going on 2.5 years.
I don't know exactly when I learned that that was the house.
I realize you don't know exactly, Ms. McLaughlin. I'm not asking you the day you learn. I'm asking you, you've known this basically through the lifespan of this case.
At some point after I learned it.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out about how long after, a week after, a month after.
I'm not sure.
But it was more toward January 29th than it was yesterday, correct?
Correct.
Have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Do you know any of Caitlin's siblings?
No.
You don't know Brian Albert Jr.?
No.
You know of any of her extended family that might be a little closer in age to you, like Colin Albert?
No.
You ever met any of them?
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall, or no?
I don't remember meeting any of them.
Your Honor, that's all I have right now.
All right, Mr. Lally, any questions?
Sure. Just a few, Your Honor.
Mr. Lally, do you want to cry now, Mr. Lally?
All right, pause it, Jake. So real quick, this is what we can expect for every single witness, like this type of level of offer of proof, as you can see. So I saw people in the chat assuming that Jay's correct on that tweet that he just read, that we're a little behind time, that she's ruled that that she's going to allow for him to talk to her about, to question her about her relationship, and theoretically to use these photographs as well. the jury is gonna be brought back in, and Jackson's gonna get to cross her on it. So it's not as if.
Wait, that happened? You're saying?
No, didn't you just read? What did you read? What was that tweet?
I just read that the jury that they were presenting the evidence outside the jury. I didn't read the decision.
No. You read it was much longer than that. Pull it up.
What are you talking about? I didn't say anything about what.
I thought you said there was somebody in there.
No, I said there's a journalist in there who said it's outside the presence, the argument. That's
but
all
you
I
had said that the judge had ruled on him being able to use the pictures. I thought.
Well, for this thing out for the proffer.
Oh, only for the proffer? All right, let's see what the hell she's gonna rule. If she doesn't allow this testimony, she's full of shit.
Let's see.
So, Ms. McLaughlin, you're not friends with Caitlin Albert, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're not friends with Caitlin Albert, is that correct?
I would say she's an acquaintance, not a close friend.
There's a level.
You were shown some photographs of you in a fairly large group with Caitlin Albert, correct?
Yes.
You don't know when those were, correct?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know where you were when those were taken, correct?
No, not exactly. They seem old.
And just to back up, you knew her in high school, but you weren't friends in high school, correct?
I would categorize our relationship as always being just acquaintances. I knew her. We had some mutual friends, but we were never close friends. We don't have a one-on-one relationship.
And as far as high school versus post-high school, would you see her more so during high school, the high school years, or after you graduated?
Well, probably more in high school just because you're there every day. But then afterwards, yeah, it was only here and there. Like I said, like mutual friends. So maybe events for mutual friends, I might run into her.
And to be clear, and I think you made reference to it, but that last photograph that's marked as K, that seems to be a cropped or sort of zoomed in of a larger photo. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, as far as each of those photos you were shown, you're present in a photo with Caitlin Albert in a much larger, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever hung out or socialized with Caitlin Albert outside of the setting of a large group?
No.
You've never been to her house before that date of January 29th that you know of, correct?
Correct.
She's never been to your house that you know of, correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as that first one, that's as far as social media is concerned, as far as the friends list, and without sort of doing, and I'm sort of putting that in air quotes, how many friends would you say you have on social media in total?
I don't know. Maybe over 500. I don't know.
And of those 500 people, how many of those 500 people would you consider actual friends?
Much less than that. Less than 10.
She has less than 10 friends. Is that what she's saying?
All right, why don't we wrap this up, Mr. Lally?
Wrap it up.
Just when it comes to that day that you responded, you're working with the fire department, you responded to a call on January 29th to a home, or as you say, to somewhere on the side of the road. Did you have any idea whose house that was adjacent to where the treatment was concerned with regard to your patient?
No.
I have no.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So there was an objection that this was in violation of Rule 14 to admit these exhibits, Mr. Lally. That's what you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I agree. So the exhibits don't come in, but based on this voir dire and the answers, I'm going to give you some leeway on exactly what you did. Okay. The relationship, the socialization and the extent of it, friends on social media, those areas. You didn't quite get everything that you mentioned at sidebar you thought you'd get. So that's not coming in.
So
if you
stay within the parameters.
So why don't you come over here then, just because?
What do you think about that decision, Bob?
I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not allowing the jury to have the context, and it's going to allow her to avoid everything that we just saw in terms of her demeanor when looking at the pictures. I mean, she was very combative. You know, but they're making the record. You know what I mean? They're making the appellate record. I want to look up what this Rule 14 is.
Oh, wait, they're standing. Why are they standing? Is that because they're bringing in the jury? Just fucking with you guys.
If you all think they're right outside the door, you're mistaken.
Please be seated.
Okay, so we have a frame of reference. Rule 14 relates to pretrial discovery. So obviously there must have been an argument that they did not disclose, the defense did not disclose this over to, got to be B, reciprocal discovery for the prosecution, which means that the defense has to turn over anything that they intend on using at trial as well. That's relevant. It's discoverable. So that's what Rule 14 is. She's considering it to be in violation of Rule 14 because they didn't turn it over, I guess. I don't know why they wouldn't turn it over.
You had a water? Is there a water waiting for you out there?
Man, if I'm her, I am shitting my pants right now. I mean, I'd be shitting my pants the entire time, but now he's allowed to bring it up. He's not allowed to. He can paint a picture. The man is a wordsmith.
He's an artist.
All right. I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Don't fall in.
Rise for the jury.
Rise for the jury, you say? They weren't there? I made it back in time. All right. And Babe is right with this comment. That if I she put, if Jay ever doubles down, he's got proof he's right. I know I'm in trouble if he doubles down.
Just for the record, I wasn't really arguing the point. I was giving an example. If the jury was there, but we're going to get the same, it's going to be the same impact. My statement still stands in terms of the jury's not going to really have the context of who Caitlin Albert is at this juncture. You know what I mean? They're not going to know because the Alberts have not been mentioned. They weren't allowed to be mentioned in openings. That's why that's impactful in openings, but they're going to.
This is just the first of many, like you said, Bob. Everyone, they're going to start knowing real soon.
And then they'll think back about this testimony that's about to come.
Ladybird, thank you so much for the $10 holla. Coffee for you both. Thank you so much, Ladybird.
Thank you. I didn't even see that. Oh my goodness. I didn't see this either. Ellen Victoria Olsen, no way or no. Wow. Look at that one. I think that's a big one, Jay. It's DKK.
I think she said it was like 14. It's like I think she's from like overseas, but it is a very nice one. So thank you, Ellen.
I like the 100 on there, whether it's in Dutch Dutch, whatever, whatever they call it. Is that Dutch money? I don't know what
It's-
it is, but I'm very, very thankful for it. And thank you.
Dachalas, $10 Dachala. Thank you so much, Ladybird and 14. Yeah, Dizzy said it.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
here
you
we
very
go.
much. All right, let's go.
So jurors, from time to time, there are things that I need to discuss with the lawyers, as you saw. We try and do it as quickly as we can. It's in an effort to make sure that what you see and hear in this case is appropriate for you to see and hear. So sometimes we spend a little time now that will save us a lot of time later. So we do appreciate your patience.
Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McLaughlin, thank you for your patience. When we last left off, I was asking you about your relationship with Caitlin Albert. You recall that?
Yes.
I want to ask you a few more questions about that. You and Caitlin Albert have known each other for how long?
Since high school.
Which is, give me a span of time.
So probably about 10 years.
You have traveled with Caitlin Albert and friends. When I say traveled, I don't mean to exotic locations. I mean day trips, etc.
Yes.
You have a group of mutual friends together, correct?
We have mutual friends, correct?
Those mutual friends have gone on day trips with you and Caitlin Albert involved?
Correct.
On more than one occasion, as a matter of fact?
Correct.
On many occasions, matter of fact?
I don't know.
More than 5?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I don't know.
You've seen photographs of you with Caitlin Albert on some of these day trips, correct?
Yes.
You've seen at least 3 of those photographs.
Yes.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert on social media?
Yes.
Other than the 3 photographs that you've seen, we just talked about, there have been other events that you've been at with Caitlin Albert that weren't necessarily photographed, or we don't have those photographs, correct?
Probably.
You know that Caitlin Albert is the same Caitlin Albert that's the daughter of Brian and Nicole Albert, as you sit here.
Yes. As I sit here today, yes.
And you know that Caitlin Albert also has siblings, Brian Albert Jr., correct?
As I sit here today, yes, I know that.
And you also know, as you sit here today, that 34 Fairview was, at the time of January 29th, 2022, the Albert home, correct?
I know that as of today.
You indicated, let me rephrase that. When you showed up at 34 Fairview that morning, did you recognize that address or recognize the home as being that of Caitlin Albert's?
No.
You have since learned that that was Caitlin Albert's home.
As I know that now.
And you gave your original statement to Trooper Proctor the next day.
Yes.
And from that day to this day, or let's take yesterday, from that day to yesterday, you learned that 34 Fairview was the Canton Albert family home, correct?
You're asking if I know from...
Between those 2 dates.
Yes.
Between the time you spoke with
Yes.
Proctor in this report till yesterday when you testified.
Just real quick, one thing I learned from Jack, and I don't probably most people know this: when someone asks you a question and then you ask them a question, that's usually you trying to buy time to think of something else to say.
You now know that that's the Albert home.
Yes.
And you also indicated that between that report that you gave to Trooper Proctor, that statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor, and yesterday's testimony, your statement has evolved. You've already admitted that, correct?
I don't think I agreed with you on that.
You did.
It's changed. It's different.
I've always testified to I feel as though my testimony has been consistent.
I appreciate how you might feel. I'm just interested in the actual facts. You didn't tell Trooper Proctor anything about this officer questioning my client. Correct?
Objection.
So I'm going to see counsel at sidebar because I think this morphed into a different.
Uh-oh. Darth says it morphed. So let's see what that's about.
I mean, this
Mighty
is
Morphin Power
it's
Rangers
all
up in
getting
this
into
bitch.
the third party culprit stuff and how much she's going to allow. You know, I mean, Jackson was able to get out the point that she's now aware of whose house it is, and that it's Chris Albert's house, and that Caitlin is their daughter. How impactful it is in light of the fact that her position is that she was not aware of that until today is going to go to weight. You know, I mean, how much weight will the jury give that? I mean, because if the implication is that she was willing to lie to protect her friend's father, and Jackson can't establish that at the time that she told Proctor what he said or what she heard her say in terms of I did it, does that have much of an impact on the jury? I don't know, you know, because obviously if she didn't know that that was Chris Albert's house and that this was an issue, that somebody was another cop was dead on the lawn. So the way that Jackson's going to have to try to combat that is to make her look like she's being untruthful or deceptive in terms of her answers. Like, is the jury going to believe? Is he going to be able to establish that he knew her well enough to where that no reasonable person would think that she doesn't know that that's Chris Albert's house? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to get her to admit it. He's going to have to do it by establishing, all right, the jury's gonna be like, all right, she clearly knows who this girl is. She went to high school with this girl. It's a small town. She
Multiple
obviously knows
trips, multiple social media. I mean, come on.
Right.
What are we
Right.
doing here?
Right.
Do you agree, Mr. McLaughlin, that the statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor is not the same as the statement that you gave to these jurors yesterday? Right?
Yes.
At this moment.
Yes.
A couple of other questions. When you did make this statement to Trooper Proctor, your visit to Canton PD was coordinated by another officer to put you and Trooper Proctor together for the interview, correct?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall being contacted by a completely different officer to say, hey, Trooper Proctor wants to talk to you, come on into Canton PD, let's have an interview?
I don't remember exactly how the interview was set up.
So that was my next question. You may have just told me this. Do you have any recollection who set that interview up?
I don't.
His name Kevin Albert sound familiar?
No.
You know Kevin Albert?
No.
You know him to be a police officer at Canton PD?
No.
You know him to be the brother of Brian Albert?
Objection.
No.
The objection sustained.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Lally, any redirect?
Yes. So Firefighter McLaughlin, you went to high school with Caitlin Allen, correct?
Yes.
And could you describe the nature of your relationship, if any, with Caitlin?
I would describe it as we're not close friends. I would say we're more acquaintances. We have mutual friends. I don't have a one-on-one relationship with her.
And you were asked some questions about social media, correct?
Yes.
And if you could, or if you could guesstimate about how many friends and sort of throwing air quotes in there. How many friends on social media would you have?
I don't know, probably 500.
And of those probably 500 friends on social media, how many of those are actual friends that you talk to, interact with beyond social media?
Much less than that.
Now, prior to, well, let me ask you this. As far as, would you say that you saw Caitlin Albert more so when you were in high school or more so since you have graduated from high school?
I would say probably more in high school because we were there every day. So
And about what year or so was it that you graduated from high school?
2014.
And as far as any sort of photographs that were referenced to you, have you seen those photographs?
Here?
Yes.
Here today, I saw them.
Do you have any idea where or when those photographs were taken?
I don't remember.
And of those photographs, it's not just you and Caitlin Albert in a photograph. Is that correct?
Correct.
So a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
When you were asked about sort of these day trips, they were sort of trips specifically on a day to a beach, it looks like, correct?
Correct.
And to a beach with a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
And with reference to Caitlin Albert specifically, have you ever socialized with her in any setting beyond a setting that contained a large group of people?
No.
Now, with respect to, you went to, you say high school, you graduated from Canton High School, correct?
Correct.
And you grew up in Canton, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you know Caitlin Albert before you attended Canton High School?
No, that's probably when we first really interacted, was high school.
And essentially, you live within the town I'm sorry, you work within the town that you grew up, correct?
Correct.
And is that abnormal from a civil service perspective?
No, from a civil service perspective, you're given more points for residency. So it's actually, I would say, preferred, or you're placed higher on the list if you have residency in that town.
So it's actually preferred and more common than uncommon as far as growing up in a town and then working in that same town in a civil service position like a firefighter.
Yes.
Now, during the course of the time that you've been on the Canton Fire Department, have you received calls to residencies or other places or even patients that you either knew or were familiar with?
Yes.
Would that be a reason for you to not go on a call?
No.
And you have an obligation, wouldn't you say, to respond to a call when a call is made and you're on duty in that station, correct?
Yes.
The objection sustained. Ask the question differently.
As far as when you're on duty as a firefighter at a particular station house, you get a call, what, if any, choice do you have to respond to any particular call?
I don't have a choice. I just have to respond to the call.
And then prior to that date of January 29th, had you ever been over through socialization or otherwise Caitlin Albert's house?
Not that I ever remember.
Had she ever been over your house?
No.
And again, had you ever socialized with her outside of a large group of people?
No.
That is just super interesting to me, and I'll just let it play. When she asked, he asked her, "Have you ever been to her house?" Not that I ever remember. When she asked, "Has she ever been at your house?" No. Like, why is it not both? No.
When you responded on that morning, just after 6 a.m., the house of 34 Fairview Road, did you know who lived there?
No.
During the time since January 29th of 2022, have you ever spoken to Caitlin Albert about what happened that morning in front of 34 Fairview Road?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination about knowing sort of Caitlin Albert's parents' names or siblings' names or things of that, correct?
Right.
And prior to January 29th, you didn't know any of those names. Is that correct?
No.
You learned of them subsequently. Is that correct?
Yes.
May we approach just briefly?
Okay.
A lot of approachals today. A lot of approachals. I'm a little behind, so I can fast forward.
So, Ms. McLaughlin, you learned of those other people's names within the Albert family subsequent to your response to this call on January 29th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you learn of those through sort of various news or media reports in relation to this case, not something that you had any conversations with anybody about, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, I have.
Okay. Okay.
You indicated, Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Lally just asked you about these 500 friends on social media. A couple of quick questions about that. Of those 500 friends on social media, how many of those have you taken day trips with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you gone to the beach with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs in swimwear with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you been photographed with your arm around while that other friend is drinking a beer?
Sustained. Sustained.
Ms. McLaughlin, all of those things that I just mentioned, you have done with this Caitlin Albert.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, Firefighter McLaughlin, you are all set.
All right, let's see if they get into the schedule here. I assume jury view and lunch.
All right, jurors, we are getting ready to go for our view. So we're about to visit a place which you'll be hearing about some more. You've heard about, you've seen photographs of, and in court terminology, we call this view. The purpose of the view is to help you better to understand the evidence, which you'll hear during the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. The view that you will take is a part of this case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used and considered in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. The place that we're going to go, you've seen photos of, you've heard it, it's 34 Fairview Road. The lawyers and I will accompany you on the bus. The attorneys may point out to you the arrangement of the scene and items that they want you to pay special note of, but otherwise they cannot discuss anything in this case in regard to this case, and they can't talk to you. All right, they'll be able to do an opening here and they'll be able to point these things out. While you're on the view, it's very important that you can't take notes and you certainly can't use your phones and take photographs. All right, it's really just for you to see. You cannot conduct any independent investigation while we're there or at any time during the trial, as you've been told. You're not to return to the scene or ask anyone else to do it for you until the case is over. So this is your opportunity to take a look when we go. What you are to do in the view may be best summarized in two very familiar words, which is stop and look. Okay. Your responsibility is to see the place, to observe it carefully, and to remember what you see. So during your trip to and from the place that we're going to view, you're not to discuss this case or anything about it among yourselves or with anyone, and you are not to permit anyone to talk with you about the case. You'll be under the supervision of our great court officers at all times, and you'll remain together until you return to court, unless the court officers direct you otherwise. And just so that you know, because some of this came up during our jury selection process, spectators, if there are any, and all members of the press have been ordered to stay 100 yards away from you. All right, so you can go and you can look and take your time looking without worrying about any interference from anyone. All right. So with that, Mr. Clerk, could you swear in, please, the court
The
officer?
court officers, raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear you will take this jury upon the premises in question and there suffer them to view the same in any property, place, or thing bearing upon the issues on the trial, as they shall seem necessary? That you will not permit the parties to enter in a debate in front of the jury or a person to speak to them unless it be Adam Lally for the Commonwealth and Alan Jackson for the defendant. They to point out such places or things as they deem expedient for the determination of the issue, and that you will keep the jury together until they shall return into court, except the court shall otherwise order, so help you God. Thank you.
All right.
They should have added, please don't make eyes with the jurors and make it like you know that she's guilty, a la Becky Hill. Come on, let's be better than that.
So Mr. Lally, do you want to do a short view opening?
Ooh,
Yes, thank you.
a view opening.
View
Ooh.
openings.
So ladies and gentlemen.
So here, that answers
as,
our question.
Her Honor
There's
just
not going to be any
describes,
talking
we're
at
about
the
to go
scene. They're going to do it now.
Yeah,
Interesting.
let's take a listen to the view opening. This is all new, like a a view opening, daycation.
So ladies and gentlemen, as Her Honor just described, we're about to go to a place. When we arrive there, and at any point in time when we're there, this is not a point where we can have any sort of conversation or back and forth. So all I'm going to be asking you to do is just take note of certain locations and certain items as you see them. And again, as with anything in this case, this is as you find them, as you observe. Okay. So first, I'm going to ask you to sort of, when we arrive in a general area, as far as taking note of sort of street names when you're coming into and when you're exiting from this particular area. When we arrive at a specific location, I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things about the roadway. Okay. Certainly any abutments to the roadway, any residences that you observe, the distances between the roadway, and any landmarks or any items that you observe on that property, specifically a driveway, specifically a front door, any other sort of items of interest within the front lawn area of that home. I'm also going to ask you to take note of the roadway itself and sort of the width of that roadway, whether or not you find any sort of lanes separating within that roadway, and then the individual width of some of those lanes as well. Lastly, there is also going to be a vehicle there as well. And I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things with respect to that vehicle, okay? With respect to the size of the vehicle, with respect to the height of the vehicle, with respect to anything that you observe specifically from the front, the side, the back, all of the exterior of that vehicle, and then also some of the interior of that vehicle. And specifically, I'm going to ask you to take note of sort of the center console in the front driver's compartment of that vehicle, and anything that you observe in that location as well. And that is all I'm asking you to do on this case, and I thank you again for your time and attention.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first time we've been able to speak to you directly, so I want to take the opportunity to introduce myself and thank you for your service and thank you for your time and commitment to this. I'm going to echo a lot of what Mr. Lally just said. There's nothing magical about this other than it gives you perspective. It's an opportunity to introduce you in three-dimensional form to stuff that you've been seeing in two-dimensional form. Photographs, some of the testimony, diagrams that you might see.
So I'm sorry, we're really pointed on what you can say.
What we're going to ask you to do is take special note of the relationships of physical items out at the scene. Much as Mr. Lally just indicated, there are going to be physical things out at the scene. You've heard about a flagpole, a fire hydrant, a house. We're going to ask you to take special note of where those are in relation to other things physically at the scene. That will hopefully, with the court's instruction, give you some assistance in putting together the testimony that you think is relevant, and the documents that you think are relevant. Again, to echo what Mr. Lally said, we're going to ask you to look at the roadway, the vehicle, the house, the physical items at the home, and the relationship between and among all of those things to each other. Hopefully, that will give you a very good understanding of what we're dealing with, especially with the exhibits. Thank you.
All right, so folks, we'll be all set. We'll see you at the bus in a little bit.
Just make sure your notebooks are closed.
You are
Mom!
muted.
I'm on
Goodbye.
the computer!
Please.
All right, so
Bob,
we have no clue how long that's going to take.
No, and we're just going to have to kind of keep an eye out. And if anyone sees, like, before we do a stream that they have a schedule or something, please let us know. Bob, I put in the chat, I don't know if you saw, I'm like, what are the odds that like someone hires a skywriter to put like free Karen Reed or Karen Reed is guilty? Like I feel like something is going to happen like that they're going to have to address. Maybe not, but we should have thought ahead of time, Bob, and said, got a skywriter, subscribe to the Defense Diaries of the Shaving and Chair. We should.
Yes, that's exactly what we should have done. We would have gotten at least 12 new subs. All right, so this is interesting. Theoretically, they'll get out there. You know, it's going to take some time, obviously, logistically, to get them all loaded up into whatever they're transporting them, getting them over there, however much time they're going to be allowed to spend, and then I'm assuming they're going to eat. So, yeah. So, do you think I should schedule the next stream, or should we just play it by ear?
Let's think about it. So it's 11 right now. I mean, it's probably going to take them till 12:30, right? I assume 2 o'clock, 2, or I don't know. What do you guys think? Set it for 2, set it for 3. What does the chat think? What do we just wait? I don't know. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think, because it's because I don't know what impact it has if like we set it for a time and it ends up we don't start it on time. Like I know that the notifications on YouTube aren't great as it is, and I've heard that it makes it even worse if it defaults to some way later time is what I've heard people say. So I don't know, but either way, we'll be back when they're back. That's the bottom line. Whether we set it up beforehand, or whether we don't, we can adjust the time. Yeah, that's true. All right, so I'll set it up, and then if we need to adjust accordingly, we'll do that.
Yeah, and thank you all so much for being here. We have over 1,200 people combined. So
love it. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and all the super chats. Thank you, mods. And just don't forget, I was right about the jury thing. Do you have anything, Bob?
No. We love you guys, and let's get ready for some more fun this afternoon, leading into the weekend. And we'll try to give you as much notice as possible. And then for our eyes out there, either let Jay or I know if we're not hip to what's going on. If you guys see that it's starting up, I'm sure Jay will be keeping a
I'll be looking
pretty close eye on it. All right, you guys.
So I was gonna say, is Allie still sleeping? Maybe Allie will be up by
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Yeah, she is still sleeping like a little angel, just like a little sweet little angel. All right, we love you guys. We'll see you in a bit.